What is involved in a diesel injector rebuild? Some of you who are on here have Mercedes diesels, just guess. And I bet some of you are starting to wonder why your cars don't get better fuel economy, why they may not idle as smooth, why when they're cold sometimes they make strange noises. And the truth is that a lot of us are driving around with cars that have worn out or kind of messy injector nozzles. Now, why haven't I discussed this before? Well, since there's a lot of information about diesel injector rebuilds in the internet, but I realize that there's not quite as much as there should be, especially about some of the individual parts. So we're going to start by taking this injector apart. Got a bottom half and a top half. As you can see, somebody's been in here before. There's thread sealant on it, which is fine. Although if you're up for it, you can actually take this base part and just machine the heck out of it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So in the top half of the injector, we have two things. We have this pressure adjustment shim, and we have the spring. And the pressure adjustment shim goes in first, and then the spring goes in. Now, this pressure adjustment shim, a lot of people go, oh, you should take the injector apart and, you know, adjust the pressures coming out of it. And sure, you could do that, but 9 times out of 10, I want you guys to remember something. With the factory shims that are in an injector, if you have a matched set of injectors, if you have your original injectors, chances are they all have the same shims, and chances are that once you put the injectors in, all of the parts will reset to equal pressures. They will allow you to have equal pressures when you're done. Now, let's look at the bottom half of the injector. So first of all, you have this thing that looks like a spinning top. And a lot of people get confused about how to install this. Well, I'm going to try to make it make sense for you, okay? This part goes in the spring, and this part pushes down. The cone goes down. The flat part goes up. What else do we have? We have our distributor. Now, what does the distributor do? Well, it sort of allows all the extra fuel to get allocated where it needs to go, back to the return side. You can see there are two little bleed holes right in here, and then they go to this little dish that allows the fuel return ports to get the extra bleed off fuel. Now, this fuel return is really important because if it gets air in it, the injector will get air in it and the injector will knock. So you want to make sure that this thing is extremely clean, that you can actually get all the air forced out of the injector and get the fuel return flowing. You want to blow out these two little holes, make sure they're clear. And then the last part of the injector, and this is the part that really matters, is the tip. The tip. Now, what does the tip do? Well, the tip drops down through this hole, and it's basically, this is what they call the nozzle, and it's a two-part piece. You have the internal part of the nozzle, and then you have the external part of the nozzle, and where they go together, high pressure fuel is forced in, and when the fuel reaches a certain pressure, fuel actually lifts this up, unseats it, and causes it to spray. Now let's pretend we're putting it back together. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to drop this in. It's got to be perfectly clean. Then this thing often gets rusty because of water getting in here. Yes, water from fuel will rust this thing. This fuel little distribution piece. Next we're going to put, and this is probably the most awkward fitting part of the whole thing, this little pintle right here. The pintle is the thing that the needle in the middle of the injection nozzle actually works against. So we want it to be perfectly centered just like that. And then you want to stack the shim and the spring on top of it. Now it doesn't matter which way the spring or the shim go. And then you put it over the top and assemble it. Now, in regards to getting it to seal 100%, this base right here often has to be machined. I call it machining, but maybe the better word is lapped. You should lap it. Take lapping compound on like a flat piece of material like stainless steel or a tile or something, and just for about 10 to 15 minutes per side, and then it should seal. But if it doesn't seal, a thin layer of thread sealant applied above the bottom two threads is an acceptable means of cleaning it up. And then of course the two should screw together, and you torque this to about 52 foot-pounds. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. You don't want to go over that because you'll crush the nozzle, but yeah, that's it. So that's what's involved in a diesel injector disassembly and reassembly. Please let me know if you enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe. If I left anything out, leave a comment below. By the way, adding shims, here's an error, here's a little omission I made. Adding shims increases the opening pressure. All right, I'll talk to you guys in the future. Enjoy working on your diesel.